Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name is Sean Waskrug, and I'm here to review all the latest movies that have come out in theaters, as well as any movies that you guys recommend, whether they be recent or in the past. Now today we're going to be reviewing Sorry to Bother You. It came out earlier this year with much critical acclaim, talked about as one of the better movies of the year, and has really been a hot topic for a lot of people because of how unique the actual film is. Finally just got around to seeing it, but before we get into the review, don't forget to hit that like, and then don't forget to share and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to leave your comments, whether it be about this review, or any fan questions, or any movies you would like to have recommended, and you can also do that at Sean's Movie Crusades on Facebook as well, and don't forget to click follow on there, and keep yourself up to date with all the latest Sean's Movie Crusades news and newest reviews. So let's go ahead and get into the review. Sorry to Bother You came out around kind of midsummer, and it was one of those movies where right away it was talked about as one of the best films of the year, and that you couldn't really talk much about the plot of the film because it would spoil stuff, and it would also it was kind of better going in unknowing what the film was actually about than being kind of given a heads up on it. And while I will say that's pretty much true, you definitely kind of go in. It's better to go in with not knowing much besides the basics of the plot. But yeah, that's kind of the way it's talked about, and the way you're kind of told. Like, anyone who talks about the movie, basically you're saying, if you ask them what's it about, they'd be like, oh, well, you just have to go see it. I don't want to spoil it for you, stuff like that, but the general basic part of the plot is that you have the main character, Cassius Green, played by Lakeith Steinfeld, and you've seen him recently in Get Out. He was actually really good in his small role in Get Out, but he's finally getting his first kind of a starring role, and it's about Cassius Green, and basically he's an aspiring gentleman who really kind of wants to find his place. He really wants to make a name for himself, and he really just wants to be somebody. And he is looking for a job. He doesn't have a job, and he gets a job at a telemarketing firm. And he really just wants to move ahead in the world. He's tired of not having money. He's living in his uncle's garage, and his uncle's actually about ready to get evicted. So not only does he need to start making money fast so he can find his own place, but he also wants to get money so that way he can help out his uncle, because he doesn't want his uncle to be out on the streets as well. And so he gets a job at a telemarketing firm, and basically he gets paid on commission. So basically the only way he can make money is if he actually sells. And for the first couple weeks or so, he's not having very much luck. He stumbles through his words. He's not doing a good job of connecting with the people he's calling. And then he meets Danny Glover's character, Langston. And Langston basically gives him some advice, saying that he needs to talk in his white man voice, which Danny Glover then portrays, and that's when the movie starts to change, in a sense. Because basically the voice that comes out of Danny Glover is not Danny Glover impersonating a white man. It is basically a dubbed over white voice. I think it's Steve Buscemi who actually does his voice. And it's just a total mind wipe, because you're just not expecting that voice to come out of Danny Glover. And so he teaches Cassius, he actually goes by Cash in the movie, he teaches Cash this trick, and he starts to speak in his own white man voice. And his voice is portrayed by David Cross. And he starts doing great. He starts getting tons of sales. He's doing fantastic. And he's moving up the ranks in his job. But the other side problem that's going on is that everyone else at this job hates it there. They're not getting paid enough, mainly because it is commission, and they want to create a union and go on strike to basically get more money. And it puts Cassius in this kind of bind because he's doing very well at his job and he's moving up, but all of his friends, his best friend Sal, played by Jermaine Fowler, and his new friend that he met at work, played by The Walking Dead's Stephen Yeun. He goes by Squeeze in the movie. And his girlfriend, or fiance, actually, played by Tessa Thompson, who's just been in a ton of stuff recently, whether it be Thor Ragnarok, the Creed movies. She's all over the place. She joins the job, too, to kind of make some extra money. And so he's got all his friends and in this job with him, and they're all gonna go on this strike, but Cassius is just doing so well that he's conflicted, because not only does he want to make money and advance in his career and be somebody, but he's got people to look out for, mainly his uncle and his uncle's family, and he wants to be able to provide for his fiance, Tessa Thompson, or Detroit is her name in the film. And so he's in this kind of bind, and basically that's kind of all I can really give you from there on, because at that point, we enter this upper echelon of the film, and it's best to not really know what else happens at that point. And basically everything I've just told you, that's like the first 30 minutes of the movie. And then after that, it goes through a whole spectrum of stuff. But basically, the cast, for the most part, is actually really good. Cassius' character, or Lakeith Steinfeld's character, he does a really good job as Cassius. I wasn't a big fan of him at first. He plays really mellow, which for a character that really wants to succeed or move ahead in the company, he's just real slouched and kind of keeping him, and mumbles and keeps himself quiet. And he's just way too mellow to really come off as that guy that really wants to propel himself towards the corporate ladder. But then once he starts getting success with his white man voice, he starts to, you see a change in his character, and that's when you really start to see the acting skills of Lakeith really come out. And once that part happens in the film, his performance is fantastic throughout. He does a really great job. Tessa Thompson is great in everything she's in. She's one of the best actresses out there over the last couple years. She is a very unique kind of character. She's an artist, and she does, I can't remember what the actual name of the job is, but she's one of those people that outside that spins the signs for advertisements, and then she, like I said, joins Cassius's company to gain some extra cash. But she's real unique, and she always wears these unique earrings, and they usually are based off of what's going on in the story. So that's always something that's very catching to the eye, that is a very unique approach to the film. And the rest of the characters, they're kind of, I'm not going to say generic, but they're very paint by numbers based on plot. You have Squeeze, like I said, played by Stephen Yeun. He does a good job in his role, but he's just kind of that guy who kind of gets in the middle of Cassius and Detroit's relationship. The guy who's a friend, but you don't know quite if he's going to be able to trust him or stab him in the back. But he does a good job in that role. Then you have the people who Cassius works for. Basically, there's a giant conglomerate corporation called, I think it's Worry Free. And basically, it's kind of like a slave job where people can sign lifelong contracts to work there, and basically you get your own house, or you get your own you get your own place to live, and you're fed and stuff like that. But you live on the job site and stuff like that, and that's kind of a big underlying storyline in the film, is that it's basically slavery in a sense, like modern day slavery. And so that's a big overlying arc in the film. It's a big satire of a film in general, because it covers a lot of spectrums. I mean, obviously it covers the racial part with, having a white voice. White voice makes you more confident. It makes you sell better, makes you a better person. You have that aspect. There's a social media aspect that they have later in the film that I don't think quite worked. But they definitely use that. And then you have the social justice of a job owning their employees to having your own ability to strive and become better. So there's a lot of underlying storylines and plot going into the main course of this movie, and it's driven mainly through Lakeith Steinfeld's performance as Cassius Green, and he eventually meets certain people as he moves up in the ranks of this company. You have your base level guys, who are just kind of greasy, kind of snake like, just dirty bosses, that you just don't trust. And then he moves up to the next kind of level, and he's got this mysterious guy who also, gentlemen, his name is where is he? He's Omari Hardwick. He plays Mr. Blank, and every time they say his name, it gets bleeped out, kind of like they did with Beatrix in Kill Bill. He also uses a white man voice, and that one is voiced by Patton Oswalt. But he's kind of this mysterious character who kind of takes Cassius under his wing, and then the whole company itself is owned by Armie Hammer's character, who his name is Stephen Lift. And once he gets brought into the actual film, once again, it hits a whole nother level of craziness. This movie just goes way, way left field. You think you know what movie you're watching, you kind of think you get the gist of it, then it turns it on its head. And then you start to get accustomed to that kind of a film, and then it turns it on its head again. It's incredibly unique. There's not any film that's really like it, not that I can really think of off the top of the head. And 3/4 of the way through the film, they do something. There's a huge twist that happens in the movie, and it's nothing that you would ever see coming. And if you said you've seen it coming, you either read the spoilers or you're lying. But this thing happens about 3/4 of the way through the film, and it's either you accept it for what it is, and you go through the rest of the film and you're okay with it, or you go, this is so stupid, and you're turned off by it, and then you hate the film. And it's like I say, it's that drastic of a change in the film. It goes that far left field, and you kind of just have to roll with the punches of the film and go from there. Now, was I a fan of this twist? No. I personally thought it was stupid, but I also give recognition for the director, Boots Riley. He's a rapper, and he actually this is like his first film he's directed. I give him props for trying this twist and for actually doing a film like this, because this is a very unique film, and it definitely goes against the grain of what most films do, and it has a lot to say, but it is so far out there, and it's so weird that I can see where people love the film because it takes those risks. But I also see, on the other hand, where a lot of people don't like the film, or can't wrap their head around it, or just think it's stupid. And it's mainly because of these things, these unique decisions that the director makes. And because of that, I don't really have a negative or positive reaction to the film itself. I see what they're doing. I commend them for what they're doing. It's very well acted. It looks great for the most part. I see what they're trying to say in the film. I just don't know if I personally like the execution of how they went about it, especially the big twist near the end of the film. And I also was not a huge fan of how the movie ended. I feel like the ending was a last check grab to try to be funny and just to go over the top again. And I felt like it was one too many. But, like I said, they went for it. Or the director went for it, and I can commend him for trying that. And, maybe in his next movie we'll see what he does. It's very Spike Lee-ish, in a sense, because Spike Lee, he's one of those directors, like with BlacKkKlansman. He's going to do his own thing. And you either accept how he films, how he shoots his movies, or you don't. And if you don't, then you're not a fan of Spike Lee and you don't like his movies. But you can commend how great the acting is. Or you accept it and you love it and you think it's revolutionary and you're a huge fan of it. And that's a lot what this film is going to be like for a lot of people. So, I mean, I would say if you want to see a real unique film, something that you have never seen before, then I would recommend seeing Sorry to Bother You. If you're someone who likes to watch movies that are pretty much straight paint by the numbers and doesn't go too far left field with things, and you're not looking for anything that goes balls to the wall crazy, towards the middle to end of film, and then you just have to kind of roll with it and be with it, then I wouldn't recommend the movie. But yeah, that's kind of it. It's definitely a great effort by everyone involved. It's definitely going to be controversial in a sense, and I think that's kind of was the whole point of the filming of it, was that they wanted to make noise. They wanted to make a message for people, and they wanted people to take notice, and this movie definitely does do that. Personally, I mean, I'm glad I saw it. Is it something I would probably ever watch again? Not really. But, like I said, depending on the person, if I knew them well enough, and I knew this is something that they would enjoy, I would recommend it. Most people that I could think of, I probably would go, it's probably not going to be for you. But that's basically it. Sorry, Barley, real unique movie. Craziness. Definitely something I've never seen before. Still don't quite get it to the sense, but I understand what they're trying to do, and I give them a good job for trying that. And that's basically it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. Like I said, don't forget to hit that like button. Feel free to share this review to everyone if you feel like it needs to be shared. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you guys stay up to date with all the latest reviews from the YouTube channel, as well as head over to Facebook and like Sean's Movie Crusades on there as well, so that way you keep up to date with all the latest videos as well. We do have a ton of stuff coming down the next week and a half. I've got a couple more reviews coming. There's definitely a lot of movies coming out here in the next week and a half that I got to try to watch and get reviewed. I've got some other videos coming up, such as top movies of the year, most disappointing movies of the year. I've got biggest surprise films of the year. Got a lot of stuff working on, and I'm going to have a lot more videos coming out. So, like I said, hit that subscribe button, and we'll keep you up to date with all that. And until I see you guys again, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.